Circus freaks. You've heard of them. You're intrigued by them, and you want to know more about the shocking reality of their life in the off-colored limelight of the circus. A little history, a little morbid curiosity, and a little what not to do. 5 amazing stories. Don't miss the Frog Boy. Number 5. Frank Lentini, the three-legged man. Step right up, everyone. Don't be shy. This entry in our cavalcade of genetic chaos won't bite, but I wouldn't challenge him to a game of kickball. Meet Frank Lentini, or as he was perhaps better known, the three-legged man. This one is technically a 2-for-1 special. You see, Frank here is a bit of a chimera in that he's technically they. Specifically, Frank here was actually born as conjoined twins, as Frank's brother was attached to his spine. The only thing that remained of his brother was a set of genitals and a leg. Honestly, those sound like the sort of things that Jack the Ripper would leave at a crime scene. Genetics. They're terrifying. At one point in his life, his parents did look into surgery to repair the problem, but as Frank was born in 1889, medicine wasn't yet advanced. Born in Italy, Frank was one of 12 siblings, none of whom had any genetic defects. He moved to the U.S. at the age of 8 and started work in the circus. Of course he did. Although all of his legs were different lengths, he learned to walk, ride a bike, and even ice skate. He could even kick a football with his third leg. In spite of, or maybe because of his condition, he toured with various freak shows and circuses for 4 decades before becoming a stand-up comedian and eventually dying in 1966. No word on if they needed a double-decker coffin for him and his brother. Our next entry in this virtual museum of the macabre is a face you may have seen before now. I will introduce you to Zip the Pinhead. According to the legendary P.T. Barnum, this entry was the last of a tribe of Amazon warriors from deep in the heart of South America, by the way of the mysterious land New Jersey. You from Jersey? I'm from Jersey. Despite what the foremost purveyor of bunk, Mr. Barnum, said, his real name was William Henry Johnson, one of 6 children when he arrived in the world in 1857. Doctors believe that William was born with a condition known as microcephaly, which is a birth defect where a baby is born with a head and a brain that is smaller than expected. As you can probably imagine, people with this affliction tend to have a host of health ailments such as intellectual, vision, swallowing, and hearing disabilities, and even seizures. Reading all that made me picture a pair of geneticists playing the worst game of "Can you top this?" ever. As for William, his parents quickly sold him to a smaller circus, which eventually sold him to P.T. Barnum, who in turn thrust William's new name and backstory upon him. He was known as the Man Monkey and the Missing Link. He often performed with a shaved head and a fur suit as part of a race of men from West Africa that traveled through tree branches. It's said that P.T. Barnum paid him $1 for every performance if he grunted and stayed in character. He additionally was paid $100 per week and was one of the better-paid performers of the time. William performed for 67 years before finally passing away in 1926. In our next entry, I present an attraction that many believe was birthed in the briny depths of the ocean, though some in his life were convinced he was a product of hell itself. I present to you Lobster Boy. Born in 1937 under the very much non-aquatic name of Grady Stiles Jr., Lobster Boy, like much of his family, was born with a condition called ectrodactyly. This is when the fingers and toes are fused together to form claw-like extremities. Unlike some of our other attractions, this medical condition was very prominent in the Grady family. In fact, Grady Stiles Jr. was the 6th generation to be born with claw hands and feet. His father, Grady Stiles Sr., was also a sideshow performer. Grady Jr. would eventually father 3 children. 2 of them had the same condition. As time went on, Lobster Boy's claws really came out. He became an alcoholic and was very physically abusive to his family. In 1979, he shot and killed the fiancée of his daughter, Donna. During the trial, the former performer showed no remorse. But rather than be sentenced to prison, due to his condition, he was given probation. His wife, Mary, was desperate to be free of the man whom their family referred to as Satan. She hired a hitman. And so, on a fall evening in 1992, Lobster Boy was murdered. Now, viewers, I present an attraction that will delight or astonish you. Introducing the incredible Elastic Skin Man. While information on this performer is sparse, what we do know will astound you. He suffered from a genetic condition known as Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a connective tissue disorder that in some forms makes your skin very flexible and incredibly stretchy. In particular, the elastic skin man could stretch his skin to incredible lengths. And for those of you wondering, no, I do not know if he could stretch all of his anatomy to great lengths. Felix toured the world with Barnum and Bailey Circus in the 1890s. As part of his condition, Felix could also bend his fingers all the way back. He was a very skilled contortionist who could bend his body in all sorts of shapes. Now, dear viewers, it may shock and astound you to know that while an estimated 1 out of every 5,000 people are born with this condition, not all cases are as severe. But it is an incredibly old malady. First described over 5,000 years ago by the Greek physician Hippocrates. It's no stretch to say this is a unique condition indeed. Finally, we present to you another aquatically named attraction that I assure you, dear viewers, is neither fish nor fowl. It's my pleasure to introduce you all to the fearless frog boy, Samuel Parks. He was born with a condition called osteogenesis imperfecta, which results in a person being born with extremely brittle bones. Due to this condition, Samuel's misshapen skeleton gave him the appearance of a frog. People would pay to see this young man doing something as mundane as sitting in a chair. While he did live to the ripe old age of 49, Samuel recalled breaking bones at least 58 times. Unfortunately, he suffered a lot of tragedies in his short life beyond his physical condition. The fearless frog boy's first business manager stole all of his money and left him penniless. Though Samuel was able to rebuild his fortune, tragedy struck again when his wife died during the birth of their second child. Though he did eventually find love again when he married Princess Wee Wee, the shortest woman in the world at the time. The pair did have a child, though it's highly likely osteogenesis imperfecta was passed on to Samuel's children. And I suppose those are the breaks. Thank you, everyone, for once again joining us under the big top here at the History Scalpel Circus. As seen in this and our previous video, genetics can be an absolute minefield. We never know how our kids will turn out pretty much until they're born. While some of the people we spoke about met unfortunate ends, others prospered despite being dealt a bad genetic hand. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up. It really helps us out a lot. Also, if you want to see more of our great content, click on that subscribe button to stay notified every time we put out a video. And feel free to check out more of our videos below. Finally, what did you think of our list? Were there any people you would have added? Make sure to tell us in the comments below.